Hello, Diet Rebel Scum and Diet Rebel Scum Curious. Diet Rebel Scum being those of us who have taken the food pyramid and said, to hell with that. We don't think it's right. We don't think eating high carb, low fat is the way to go. We think maybe high fat, low carb. That's what we're doing. Whether you think the bad information is on purpose or not, I wish you washed back and forth between those two, but I don't know. What do you think? Long time no check-in. I've been obsessed with a recent bad happening here. Here in the United States, we lost a good man. Charlie Kirk was assassinated on college campus while he was doing one of his Q&A sessions that he does. Anyway, yeah, so I've been wanting to make a video the last few days to check in, and every time I went to get on my phone, it's an obsession. It's part of our digital obsession too. Back in the day before we had computers in our hands or able to be just carried around with us so easy, in the form of like a tablet, you can go and, which that thing follows me all over the house. Mostly I'm watching, besides, if you hear this creaking, almost maybe rude noises, it's not the rude noise you might think it is. It's this plastic chair. I need better furniture. I love these. They're very modern. I love modern plastic furniture, but when you skimp and it's the cheaper stuff, it creaks and the screws fall out of it eventually. But anyway, okay, so I digress. Yeah, we had Charlie Kirk was assassinated, and for a lot of us on the more conservative philosophy of things, which I tell you what, a lot of us low carb dieters, we're in that space. There's a lot of overlap, as I've mentioned before in the past, and that's very, it's getting more and more apparent these days. So I pick up the digital device, to make a check-in or maybe record a little video, and then I got to see what's the latest news on Charlie Kirk's assassination. Who's celebrating it, and who's saying good riddance? Who's the next one? There's all these just really, really bad. It shows how we're in a cultural civil war. We're in an information war. And it's across multiple disciplines. I don't know how to say. Everything's political these days, even diet. Pardon me one second. I'm going to turn off this light right here. Don't go anywhere. I had just made myself this latte. So it's over there on the stove, and okay, so I'd flip on lights. There's another one. Damn it. I'm going to turn off that one. Don't go anywhere. I'm in my kitchen / dining room, by the way. Just patio door, a lot of natural light here. I'm gonna shift my way. So hopefully you're seeing my good side. Okay. So no check-in. Been keeping up with what's going on in the world, because in this information war, which we've been fighting in the diet field, I've always wanted to just concentrate on that. Diet, fitness. It's like, how can you offend people in that realm? Well, you can. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's. I almost want to do. I'd like to do a video just on how do you do this as a carnivore. You're a social pariah when you go out to eat with people. But some of us that aren't as discipline. Like I go out to breakfast and after running in the mornings on Saturday. I meet with some people. Well, I'm not trying to lose weight, so I don't have to really. I'm not really trying to stay in a state of ketosis all the time, which training for a marathon, I probably am a lot of the time, because what little carbs I do eat at breakfast, if like just this past Saturday, okay, I usually get at this restaurant brunch burger. Well, it's beef patty, cheese, bacon, fried egg. That's in it, but then you got the bun. You got the top and bottom bun, which has this place's signature yummy jelly on it, which I'm sure has got a lot of sugar in it. Besides the carbs in the bun. But, like this time, I was eating both the top and bottom of the bun in recent visits. But this time, I actually just ate the top bun that had the jelly on it. But I ate, of course, all the meat and internals out of there. And then it comes with these chips, these thick-cut fried potato chips on the plate. They're very crunchy, very they're thick. They're pretty tough. I eat just a few of those. 90% of them are going to get thrown in the trash, and I hate that. So I just have a few of the chips, and I just ate half of the bun this time, and that's that was. And a chai latte. So there's some carbs in the chai latte. I didn't order a regular coffee latte this time, and that's for a reason I'm going to get to in a minute. But anyway, so back what I'm saying. Boy, I meander so bad. This is so hard. I'm not offensive to people when I go out to eat with my diet, because I'm not that big of a pariah or whatever. I'm not this big, Debbie Downer, just because I do order some stuff that everybody else is in. People get the cappuccinos and lattes, I get one too, or I get just regular black coffee, which is not offensive to anybody. A lot of people just drink black coffee, or I do a little half and half in it. I never add sugar, just blatant table sugar. I do have honey in this. I've got some hippie local honey in the pantry. So I did a little bit of that in here. But, I kind of blend in because I'm still ordering stuff. I'm not the guy going, okay, I don't want one carb on my plate and start altering the order and altering everything in the menu, saying substitute this and that, leave off this. I'm not doing that. I'm just doing my 3-word order. I'll have the brunch burger, 2-word order. Anyway, you get what I'm talking about. But what about, people start getting offended, can get offended when you're too different. You're really, it gets offensive or people start feeling judged when you're like, well, you're not eating the signature toast, I'm just going to make up some situation now, but like let's say you're with some new people that don't know you very well, they don't know your diet, and so you're you're like, this is like a new acquaintance, and they ask you about why you're not why you aren't eating this or that and the other like everybody else is. And you say, oh, well, it's because I'm doing a carnivore diet. I eat only meat and blah, blah, blah. And then you get the question, well, aren't you worried about your cholesterol, blah, 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 blah. And you go, well, I'm kind of working on under the philosophy that, cholesterol may not really be the problem. It may be the high carbs, So I've done this with people. They're like, well, aren't you worried about not getting enough vitamin C, And I say, well, there's some thought out there. I don't do this. I don't go, well, the science says, I do not do that. I hate that. I've come to really despise and I know some people, they use it anyway. People in our space use it too, because it's just so easy to roll off the tongue, and it kind of, the science. There is no the science. There's science, but there is no the science. Like there's one study, there's one scientific study, and you better not question it. Damn it. That's when you say the science. That's kind of what it sounds like you're saying. And I know people don't really mean it, but they're still some people when they are using this, like the normies out there that really don't understand the scientific community, what actually goes into scientific experiments and when you can make medical claims and when you can't. The regular normie doesn't understand all that. They think if somebody in a lab coat gets up and says something, or if it's published on some kind of really nice, artfully done website, or link or something in their feed, if it looks real nice and professionally done, and it's like one sentence, they just believe it. They think that is the science that cannot be questioned under any circumstances. That is what I'm trying to avoid, and I hate it when people just take that for gospel, They see something they want to believe. Oh, coffee helps your heart, is actually healthy. Science says. Well, see, the science says coffee's healthy, so I can just guzzle my coffee all damn day, put a constant stimulant on my heart. There's just because they find a chemical or some molecule that happens to be in coffee could interact in a positive way with some hormone or whatever, or something in the human body, therefore it's good for you, and drinking 2 cups a day is great. What's it like? Well, maybe not. Maybe it's not good because caffeine, as I know, as I'm drinking some right now, this is instant coffee. It seems to not give me give me as much jitters as normal. I'm suspicious that I think the caffeine's quite a bit lower in freeze-dried instant coffee. I might be wrong. I gotta see if I can find something about that. But anyway, that's why I don't like going the science says. So as I'm back to my pariah thing, being a pariah and being offensive, well, you start telling people why you're doing what you're doing, and when what you're doing is exact opposite of what they're doing, that person can't help but feel like you're judging them, right? I mean, isn't that how you feel? I mean, and somebody says, if you're doing something, let's say I'm about to eat an Oreo cookie. Let's say I was back in my, I'm back in my vegan days or lacto-ovo vegetarian days, where I would, you give me some oatmeal cookies or something like that. I was like, it's oatmeal. I run marathons. I can just binge on all these cookies all I want, And so I say I'm eating a cookie, and then this guy next to me says, cookies are poison. Cookies are killing people. Well, as I go to take that bite, he's just saying, did he just say I'm killing myself by eating this? That would be a real harsh scenario, So it's like, well, yeah, I would feel kind of judged, and I would feel stupid because and let's say I'm a super nice guy. I don't want to call the guy a liar. So let's say, if I act like I kind of agree with him just to be nice and cordial and what have you, I just want this interaction to go smoothly. Well, then I would feel stupid going ahead and eating that cookie. Oh, yes, this is killing me. I would feel like a dumbass doing that. So that's the situation you put people in when you're carnivore, and if you're a hardcore and you avoid every gram of carb, and you won't even take a bite of the toast, or you don't even want the toast touching your plate. Well, you're going to be that guy or girl that is horribly judging everybody else at the table, because that's how they're going to feel. Even though most of us carnivore people, if we're not the evangelical type that's going to trying to convert everyone to carnivore or keto or whatever it is you are, no matter how careful you are about that, just your very behavior in front of them, if they asked about it and you said anything at all, is going to have that effect. And that's actually, I hate that. That's what makes being a carnivore, low carb dieter kind of tough in social situations. Now that everything seems to be political, if you eat meat, you're destroying the planet. That's what the environmental movement has been trying to say a long time. Is they're trying to make it. It's just so. These claims about how the world works are so huge. Meat causes cancer. I think the American Medical Association, some of these organizations, I think, have those kind of claims out there. They'll take something that's completely natural in the world that we've done forever. We've eaten meat for all of human existence, as far as I'm concerned. That's what I think the science says. Haha. No, there's some science that says that. If you're into the paleontology thing, but then, the vegans claim the same thing. Oh no, the archaeology and paleontology, oh no, it proves we're vegetable eaters, But, so you get what I'm saying. But, so where was I going? Oh dear, I lost my thought. Pardon. So, you don't want to be a pariah, but it's unavoidable now, I think, with just seeing how, and I hate to use this word too, divided. That is after the death of Charlie Kirk here last few days ago. I was like, oh, he was so divisive. Jordan Peterson, they say, oh, it's so divisive. He's so divisive. Well, I don't remember all of my growing up. I've never heard people just dwell on this word divisive. This become a word used as a weapon to make somebody sound bad. If you have an opinion, of course it's divisive. If you disagree with somebody, you are divided on that subject. Duh. So if somebody disagreed with me about something in like back in my 20s, and say I'm arguing with a friend about just name the subject, anything, Second Amendment, freedom of speech, it doesn't matter what it is, diet, exercise. So I'm a runner, you could be arguing about, if you're a running coach, you could be arguing, say, you could really dwell heavily and weigh heavily the benefits of speed work in a 16-week marathon program. Well, other coaches might dwell a lot more, put a lot more weight into the long, slower run aspect, of the training program, and maybe speed work. Yes, it's important, but don't do too much of it. And then the heavy speed work guys, like, hey, you don't want to do too little speed work. You don't want to train your legs to go too slow by doing too much of that. So, that's divisive. Yes, that is so divisive. But we never described them as that back in the day. If you disagreed with somebody, you just disagreed about that thing, and you argued about it and tried to convince each other of anything. And then when you didn't convince them, if you didn't convince the person you're talking to, you said, okay, we agree to disagree. That's kind of a famous saying too. We didn't go, oh, you're just being so divisive. But now, if you get up and make a speech about anything and you stand for anything in any significance at all, you're called divisive. But that typically goes one way. And that's why I hate the word. It's used for people like Jordan Peterson, Charlie Kirk. Oh, they're just so divisive. Well, they disagree with you about, ways we should be living life, I think eating lots of meat and very little carb, I think that's probably the way for better health. That's what I think. That's my opinion. Not an expert. I don't know. I'm not an expert in anything. Am I trying to divide us up? No. You don't have to agree with me. I'll still have a low-carb beer with you, although I shouldn't. I shouldn't have a beer. I should have a beverage with you. That's totally fine. I'll have a latte with you. But I'm trying to cut back on the beer because of my recent, almost got the flu, it seemed like, off of my just having 3 beers, I think. 3 beers inside of 3 hours or so. Although there was a ice cream binge in there, so there was a big dose of carbs. Yeah, I think my last video was about that, where it's like, I think I'm getting more sensitive to these kind of bad things. Now, am I trying to be divisive? No. I don't want to divide myself from the ice cream eaters out there. I love you too. But what really worries me, what I'm really beating around the bush and getting around to is, I hope that the demonization in the political world doesn't bleed over. It's already bled over into the diet and carnivore low carb space, and even just physical fitness. I was just looking at here's an example of where your health is and what you believe about health. They're trying to drag that into the political pariah space, where they're trying to make people into being evil if you're like going to the gym. So I remember hearing one of the people that I subscribe to, YouTubers, did a video on somebody published some organization threw out. There's an article somebody wrote, published about going to the gym or being obsessed with health or whatever is white supremacy. And I was like, what? Everybody should be healthy. Everybody should go to the gym. What is this about? White supremacy? Well, it was a short video, and I don't even remember. I may not have even paid too much attention. I might have been cooking or something, or talking with the wife across the room or something during it, so I probably missed some details on it. But I just kind of let that one go in one ear and out the other, and I'm just thinking, nah, that's just some silliness. Okay, somebody posted that out there. It may not be like any kind of big. It might not have been some very popular publication or something like that. Because I didn't remember. I couldn't tell you who they were quoting. So just before I made this video, I got on the internet and I just kind of Googled it just to see what was out there, if I could run across something. And there was one, Time Magazine. It was a Time Magazine article on their website. That's what the link took me to. I put in Google, and then there was Time Magazine, and like, what was the kind of like title of the article? Anyway, I clicked on it, and it took me to, it's actually like I think it's like timemagazine.com. Anyway, Time Magazine. I know there's so many now magazines now that are just digital that, paper magazines are probably very rarely used anymore. Because it's killing the planet, damn it. I don't get paper magazines anymore. But everything's gone digital. And there's so many opinions out there in the digital world, which is great. But it's also, anybody can publish anything they want, put their thoughts out there. That's totally fine. I'll fight for that all day, every day. As long as you're not wanting to kill people. Or trying to get people killed. So, yeah, it was a Time Magazine article, and the author was going through the history of physical fitness. And I didn't read the whole thing because I've got work to do in the backyard. I want to make a video and stuff. But I kind of just got the gist of it. I kind of scanned down about 5 minutes, and it was it was like the roots of, it was like the six, and yeah, the white supremacy roots of physical fitness and 6 other facts about the history of physical fitness that may surprise you. The title's something like that. But the one they specified out was white supremacy. And I think that is probably, since it was Time Magazine, see, Time Magazine in the United States anyway was the biggest. It was one of your top 5 magazines in the nation, kind of thing. It's like Time Magazine they had TV commercials. If you were on the cover of Time Magazine, you had made it to some kind of notoriety. Okay, making the cover of Time is a big deal. So to all the old boomers, like my parents and more elderly folk, if something's in Time Magazine, well, it must be true. And so to have a headline like that, like putting the word physical fitness or going to the gym or obsession with health and white supremacy in the same headline is going to, it's just, for the people who just look at a headline and glean everything out of that headline and they don't go reading the rest of the article, that's not good. That's not good at all. That you're just throwing us gym rats, and you're trying to lump us into a bad category so that normies don't like us. Now that's kind of, you're technically not doing anything wrong. I mean, you're not posting anything illegal. You're not explicitly inciting violence on people, but what you do when you do that is, most people are the normies. They're not paying attention. They're just bouncing through life as easy as possible. And that's why obesity is such a huge problem. People kind of want to do whatever kind of feels good, and they do just enough effort to find just enough information to satisfy themselves that they think they are doing the right thing, so that they have a clear conscience about the choices they are making in life with their health and everything else, whatever. That's kind of a normie. They spend 3 minutes on the news of the day, researching the news, getting other people's opinions out there, and then they go back to whatever their hobbies are, that don't have to do with news and health and all that. And there's a lot of those people out there, and hey, God bless them. I don't blame you. You do you. But for those of us who really put a lot of effort in wanting to get the best out of our lives, in our health, or let's say you are an environmentalist and you're trying to save the planet. Well, hopefully, if you have an electric car, hopefully you're not charging it with fossil-fueled electricity. If you put a bunch of solar panels on your roof and charge your electric car with those, so you're not burning a fossil fuel, you're not burning coal or whatever it is, or natural gas, whatever it is that generates your electricity for your city, you get what I mean. You're not just trading one fossil fuel for another. That's all fine and dandy. You do you. But for those of us in the physical fitness world, hey man, to make some kind of big title that a normie sees, white supremacy and gym bro. He wasn't gym bro, but I'd like to think of myself as kind of a gym bro. I don't know, gym rat, nice way to put it. But no, I've been obsessed about physical fitness since I was 17 years old. I want to live to be 120. I want to be thriving, active till I'm 120. But that should not lump me in the category of white supremacist. That's ridiculous. But to put that kind of stuff, to make a headline like that, absolutely horrible. So this was a random rant. How long have I been going? 30 minutes. Jeez, my knees. I'm going to stop this one. This was just a random rant about where I think things have really gone wonky in this world, and that's what I've been out the last several days. I had already been delinquent in doing a check-in, and then the assassination of Charlie Kirk got the rest of my attention. It's been my attention all morning this morning. You know, it's weekend. I have to go back to work tomorrow, so I didn't get a lot of productivity done today. But anyway, I'm going to do a few more videos because I'll do a little more proper check-in on what's going on with my running, because yesterday's run, I had a little thing that I need to talk about during that. That is good. I mean, it's bad, but hopefully leads to a better behavior. Anyway, boy, this has been a rambling mess. I'll try to do better on the next one. Okay. See you in the next one.